Hey everybody. Boy, I like the BC, as a concept and as a community. I mean, it's like we don't live we live on the same planet, but we're all over the planet. But it's a real community. And I'm just gonna riff today. Listening to Agitation Free, their second album. This is a reissue. The original was on Vertigo, and Vertigo albums, UK pressings and Germans, very expensive. This is a great German rock album. A lot of jamming and just classic, not blues based. Nice. Couple things. First, a reminder that I am, putting out another album with Kinetic Records out of Greece. Taking pre-orders. Please help make it happen if you're interested in my music. But beyond that, had a cool thing happen I do spend time on Facebook. There are several groups on Facebook besides the group that's called the YouTube Vinyl Community. Matter of fact, people keep starting up groups because they think the vinyl community group on Facebook is too big. There's over 5,000 people in that group, and not all the people post. Apparently there's drama. I just ignore it, so it means nothing to me. But people are starting smaller groups, and so I'm posting into some of those groups as well. Last night was interesting because in one of the groups that I had joined but hadn't posted much until last night was the Canterbury Scene group. And that's a group that's based around love of music that came from England, Canterbury, Soft Machine Caravan, and that whole ilk. Well, I posted some things last night and started to get some comments from a name that I recognized, and then he finally said something and it hit me. The Muffins were an American-based Canterbury-style group that got it right. And this is their first album, Mana Mirage, which is, I think, a classic of Canterbury music. Turns out that Dave Newhouse from the band, the keyboardist, is a member in the group on Facebook. And we were talking about a Soft Machine album, and then he mentioned the Muffins, how they'd stayed at his house. And then I looked at his name, and I said, oh, okay. And then sure enough, I pulled this out, took a picture, posted it, and then he was actually very pleased to be recognized, because the group had been going, and apparently no one had recognized who he was. Yeah, I get a kick out of that. And one of the first things I also think of is it's also ironic how here I am, probably one of the lone black people in the group, comes along, the least recognized is the one who seems to know. I'm not saying that egotistically, I'm saying that because historically that happens so many times, and I've experienced it many times personally, to be discounted because I got dark skin, and yet I'm the one who's taking care of business. Happens a lot. Just saying. I also showed their second album, 185, by the Muffins. The conversation is still going from last night. I went on this morning, and people are still adding to it. That's a good feeling, I loved this music as I discovered it, as a kid, because being kind of delicate, quiet, and everyone thought I was a fag, which I was not a fag. I kept to myself, and the loud, funky music that everyone was listening to around me, even though I liked it, I needed solace from it. I needed a shelter. I needed a place to call my own. That's how all this English rock, German, European music from all over the world, that's why I embrace it so much, and that's why I'm always showing it, because that's why it's like it is. I'd love to show more music from the Middle East. I don't have much, I have some CDs, Yeah, I'd like that to be different. I don't have any money. From Italy, Andre Ceccarelli, jazz rock. Sadly, I got this used from the local radio station years ago, so they defaced this fabulous album cover. Many members of the band Magma play on this. This is really, really smoking. More Canterbury, Egg, The Civil Surface. This is an original copy. Keyboard oriented. This is just some of the most fantastic progressive rock music I've ever heard. Egg, The Civil Service. Big conversation about this album, Greasy Truckers, live at Dingwalls. Matter of fact, some of the members in the group are people who live in England and across the world who used to go live in England, and some of them mentioned how they were at this actual show. Henry Cowell, Gong, Camel of Global Village Trucking Company. Must have been an amazing time. Good album. And then Soft Machine Volume 2, one of my all-time favorite albums. This is an original. This is the record I posted in the group last night that got all the conversation going. That's still going. You know, usually I post in one or two groups, but I'm starting to post more in different groups since people are branching off, and you know, I kind of don't like posting the same record multiple times, but that's what I'm going to do. You know, a lot of people seem to like it in smaller groups. I just keep interacting with whoever's there in the big group, you know, and making new acquaintances, you know. And when I don't know if people are talking about something that I've said there and calling it drama, because I don't know what that would have been. But whenever I see something that looks like drama, I do one of two things. I either just completely ignore it, or I pipe in and say, this is unnecessary. Or if it's really bad, I contact the administrator and say, let's get this out of here. Faust 4, one of my all-time favorite albums. Played this all the way through last night. One of my all-time favorite albums. Another all-time favorite, which I played all the way through last night, Pet Sounds, Beach Boys. This is a German pressing, original from the 60s, German pressing. I don't know what to say. This album is just like a dream. Steam Hammer on Brain. Kind of bluesy. And so the big blues jam I always skip over because it's just fucking boring. But they have a couple really good songs on here. I could go. Let me go a little. Okay. Monochrome Set from the 80s. You know, I put this on after seeing that Tintin El Nido from France was playing his copy yesterday. First thing that struck me that I hadn't thought of before is how much the Arctic Monkeys sound like this band. This is great. Monochrome Set. Mo Kaufman, a flautist whose one of his songs has been used as a theme on NPR for years. This is one of his albums, Jungle Man. Is it Jungle Man? This is great. Love that artwork by Gon Wilson, too. Can, I was playing this. Can, the great German band. Limited edition. Quick story. I first heard this album and recognized it was Can during the intermission of seeing Hawkwind live. Rush opened for them, and on the intermission, Andy Dunkley, this DJ from England, was on tour with Hawkwind, and so he did a DJ set in between, and he premiered Gomorrah off a limited edition. As soon as it started, I knew it was Can, because of the sound. And then sure enough, he said it. Exclusive, first time, yeah. That was cool. Great series, Love, Peace, and Poetry. This is the Latin American psychedelic issue. Some great psychedelic music. This is a great series. I don't have the entire series. I think there's about a dozen albums in it. But this is one. There's several variations, apparently. A discussion got going on this online, and people were showing their different variations of the splatter, which I didn't know, because most of the rest of mine in this series are black vinyl. But this is a great series where they cherry pick some of the finest songs from the past. Love, Peace, and Poetry. Frolic Froth, a Mexican band from the 90s, I believe. They call it stoner psychedelia. To me, it's sludgy. I bought this used years ago because it was intriguing. I'm keeping it, but it's like these guys sound like they're so stoned they're not playing together. The bass player hardly ever matches the guitar. It's almost fascinating as a result. Ouroboros, Frolic Froth. And this is numbered limited edition of 500. Cartoon, Scottish band, Jimmy Page, guest guitared on this, made in 1969. Pop music, English pop / rock music. almost pop. No, it's pop. There's some good songs of a real variety of writing on here. Okay, so I'm going to keep going a little bit longer. Last week, I finally went to Almost Music because I pulled together a few records that I could do some trading with. And one of the records that I got was this that came in, Worden. And what this is this is a numbered reissue of an album that came out, I think it's Swedish, Group 1850 members are involved in this. This is more of an artifact to have because it's very loose, poetry, spoken word, meandering instrumentals going on in the background. Frankly, I love records like this, but this one is early on. It's not really successful to listen to, but to me, it's the kind of thing I must have. Dark green vinyl. I just love odd stuff like this. And where people are trying things outside of the usual form. So when I found this and traded for it, I was real happy to. This is the kind of thing I like to add to my collection. Worden. I've got one other, Opus 3 and Friends, and I like this. It's Jan Schaffer from Sweden, along with Bjorn Jason Lind plays on this as well. There's almost a pastiche classic rock and classics combined on some of the songs, but this kind of stuff, I don't know. Whenever I can get old rock records like this from around the world, I love it. Couple more. Paul Dereck I believe he's from Manchester. Love the man's playing. And my new album that's coming out, Myths Realities, some of the songs, some of the music is reminiscent of his style. This is his album, his EP Tomorrow. And this is just gorgeous. Dereck. I never consciously tried to emulate the sound of Dereck. It has to do with a feeling, a melancholy feeling that we both like in music. And it's in his music, it's in a lot of mine. Chemical Brothers, Out of Control. This is a 12-inch single that I happen to have. And it's just 2 remixes by Sasha. But it's also on blue vinyl, so that's fun. And the Chemical Brothers were badass. They were. Really good with Bernard Sumner from New Order on lead vocals on this track. Casper, another group from the Rock in Opposition, almost Canterbury School of musicians. Chris Cutler from Henry Cow on here. Goebbels and Hearth, 2 Germans who are just fantastic musicians. They never get talked about. When we talk about the history of progressive rock music, you don't hear about Goebbels and Hearth. I talk about them. Heiner Goebbels and Alfred Hearth. This is excellent. Casper, Man or Monkey. Excellent. Christ. Blue Shift Emissions. Sounds a lot like Boards of Canada to me. This came out 2006. Electronic, really nice. Reminds me a lot of the Boards of Canada. Last one I'll show is Rachel's Selenography. This is just beautiful music. They use strings, piano, all acoustic. Wonderful writing, instrumental. Rachel's Selenography. Love this. So a bit of a longer video there for you. There's still more records I could say, but last thing I'll show is this CD by Akiko Yano. Gohanga Dekitayo. I just love this woman. I love her voice, her writing. She was married to Richie Sakamoto for many years, toured with Yellow Magic Orchestra. I love her work, so I was listening to this. I want to remind you again, I'm taking pre-orders for my next album. I'll leave the link. It's a co-release with Kinetic Records out of Greece. They're handling the manufacturing. They have a website on Bandcamp where you can either order the European version, which is gray splatter, or you can order it from me. I'll have blue splatter copies of the album available. Hopefully we'll have it in March, but you can go listen to it, a sampler of it. Thanks, folks. Thank you for being my friends.